And we are back here on Mastering Dungeons with our main segment, and we are so overjoyed to be talking with Shelly Mazzanoble,
Oh my God.
author of the new book, How to Dungeon Master Parenting. Shelly, welcome.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here with my two favorite dungeon masters and parents. And I'm including myself in both of those categories.
Nice.
Wait, so you're your favorite? So
No,
Yes.
so are I.
you're above me in both. Yes,
We all
I'm
have
sure
to be-
my son would agree.
We have to be our best fans, so it's proper.
That's very true.
You've both
And now-
taught me so much, though, about dungeon mastering.
You're very
Well,
kind.
you've taught us so much about D&D over the years and the many things that you've done in the industry and in ancillary products, if you will, to D&D. So first and foremost, could you tell everyone out there, even though I know I've interviewed you on the show before, there might be a few people new. So could you tell everyone what you do in the tabletop role-playing game or any role-playing game or any game world?
Yes, because it's new. So I, for years, worked on the Dungeons and Dragons brand marketing team as the senior brand manager. And I love that role. Definitely, I've been at Wizards for many, many years, but that was my favorite job. Just learning about the D&D community, learning about the game and all of the amazing ways that this game actually impacts people in profoundly positive ways that go far beyond just the tabletop. It's not just entertainment. It was really that work, like talking to people like Shawn, you and I were just mentioning Game to Grow and Adam Davis, like these therapists who are using Dungeons and Dragons as part of their practice. Teachers who are incorporating D&D into their classrooms because, as we all know, reading, writing, and math are inherent to the game, but also all of the ways in which the social emotional learning was happening, and especially with kids. And this, so I was, really wanting to dig into that work, and through that, I got to launch our D&D curriculum, which is just wonderful D&D inspired teaching kits for grades starting in third grade all the way up to high school now, working on our after school club kits, which Shawn, you're very familiar with because you've helped create some wonderful materials for those. And also doing things like an adopt a classroom partnership so that we can bring D&D into high need schools. And, these are schools that probably have to decide between like, do we have like school supplies or give these kids lunch? Like they can't buy players' handbooks as well. So reaching out through Adopt a Classroom, we were able to provide libraries for 200 schools that really wanted D&D clubs and needed it, but couldn't afford to do the supplies. It was that work that was like just got me up in the morning, and I just love doing that, making D&D more accessible. And I was very fortunate to be able to, it was sad to leave my D&D family, but I have recently taken a new role on our global philanthropy and social impact team. So I'm leading cause marketing campaigns like our Pride campaign, the Extra Life campaign that Wizards does every year that raises millions of dollars through our very generous community. But I also get to do more work. Like this is my day job now, you guys. I'm like a do-gooder now. So I get to wake up and just find ways to bring our games to more people and help those people reap the wonderful benefits that they keep reminding me, like, it's not just D&D, like you get to work on like all of our brands. I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's just so easy with D&D. It's just so easy. It's just like right there. So lots of exciting things coming up in that regard. Like we have a Boys and Girls Club partnership. So my goal, I just want D&D everywhere that kids gather, let them have Dungeons and Dragons and just make it as easy and accessible as possible.
I've got like a million questions, but I'll try to somewhere sort them in my brain because this is so interesting. So one thing I want to know is, are you working now still within Wizards? Are you larger Hasbro, or is this all Wizards kind of philanthropy?
This is larger Hasbro, but I'm still a wizard.
Okay. All right, cool.
Best of both worlds. Neat. Yes.
So you might use Avalon Hill programs and anything else. Yeah, gotcha. Cool.
Transformers, Peppa, any board games. Yeah.
So I can imagine somebody out there who's involved in a school and thinking, wait, what school program? Is there a place where folks can go to learn? I'm thinking about that program specifically, but any of the cool programs you're mentioning?
Yeah. So there is a place. Yes, just send me an email and I'll direct you. We're actually working on building out a better place for you to find those resources. It's not there yet, but I'm going to tell you that soon you can go to the Hasbro corporate site, go to the philanthropy section, and you will find it there. Yes, that is my one of the priorities for this week, actually, is getting that site up and running. So yes, please keep checking. All of those wonderful resources will be there. And if you want to experience some of the great work of Shawn Marwin at your D&D table, you're going to want to get one of those after school club kits.
I want to do that. So I'm going to go enroll in an elementary school so that I can enjoy
You're going to have to go, volunteer to run a D&D club at your local school.
He's going to enroll.
Can you pass a background check? Oh, you just want to be one of the players.
Billy Madison Redux on my end, but no, I have done something like that. There was my daughter's high school was running She Kills Monsters. And,
oh my gosh, amazing.
The play that's based on D&D.
Yes.
And so she told the director, like, hey, my dad could probably like run D&D for us. Would you want that? And he was like, sure. And so we scheduled a D&D night, and I got like 3 other DMs, and we ran for all of them, and just they had a blast. And we wove some of the story of
that's a really good idea.
The adventure we used. So they had a blast with that. It was great. So
that's amazing.
Because I totally believe in what you're talking about, like that idea of how you can connect with kids at that like creative level, and give kids who may not, especially kids who may not have a lot of resources or a lot of exposure to this type of creative thinking. And it's wonderful.
It is. Yeah. And also those friendships too. Like that's pretty magical to see that forming, like, the kids that just like coming from like different groups that maybe wouldn't have had the chance to interact with each other. And it's now like, it's like the Breakfast Club. Like it's like really happening at the table.
And this
I still talk about, you did a seminar panel or something with a teacher from, it's either Wisconsin or Minnesota. I can never remember which. That they did the after school club or
with Cade?
The English. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the findings of that, about how much the students who took part in the D&D, as opposed to just doing the regular coursework for the English class, I think, and how much more they learned, not just math, no, not just English, but math, and all of those skills tested so much better at the end of the year than the students that didn't do it. It still blows my mind.
It's amazing. Yeah. Speaking of Cade Wells, he recently did a TEDx talk about D&D as an intervention tool in schools. So please, let's Google Cade Wells TED Talk, and you will have the best 30 minutes of your life, and you'll probably cry a little. No matter what he's talking about, he's just so passionate, and I cry every time I talk to him. It's like, hey, Cade, how's your son? Oh my God. I just can't. He's amazing. And he's one of the reasons, a big reason why that opened my eyes to like this whole subculture of D&D as like mental health and education.
Yeah. Well, what doesn't make us cry, Shelly, are your books, unless we're crying with laughter.
Oh, great segue. I love it.
And this new book, though, is not the first book you've written about being a game master or being a player of Dungeons & Dragons. Before we jump into how to dungeon master parenting, could you give us a background on sort of the secondary career almost of writing other types of books?
Yeah, who would have saw that coming? Not me. My first book from way, 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 way back when was called Confessions of a Part-Time Sorceress. And it was really born of my experience playing D&D, but also my experience of being what I consider not the typical Dungeons & Dragons fan. And this was 2007. So the D&D community was a lot different then. Yes, there were women that were playing Dungeons & Dragons. I am not the first woman to discover Dungeons & Dragons, but I do feel like a lot of those women weren't super public about playing D&D and maybe didn't have the best experiences playing Dungeons & Dragons at that time. I, of course, learned how to play at my job. So like people had to be nice to me when they were playing. Like it was like literally like somebody's job to be like, oh, you have to play D&D with this girl. But my first group was like, I think we had two men and 3 other women. We were all new to D&D, and I resisted it from the beginning. Like, I don't feel like this is something I'm going to be into. I'm just not, but I'll learn. And maybe 15 minutes into it, I was just like, oh my God, this is D&D. Like, we are just talking. We're just making stuff up. I can shoot missiles from my fingertips. Yes, please. So totally sold on that. And I just figured, you know what, there's probably other newbies and women out there that don't think this game is for them, and they're missing out. So that was what that book was born of, a kind of a part how to, but real light, because you both know more than anyone. Like, I'm not super rule savvy. Like, they go in one ear, out the other. So,
which
but like,
I think has been your strength in writing books like that. Like, because you know, like when you're so into it, you can't separate yourself from it.
Yes,
everything is expertise, and there's so many layers of knowledge. And you had that perspective, and especially in that book, I remember reading it, and just it was such a good, like, when you first do X, when you first do Y, right? And this is how I conquer it or explore it, and why it's great and fun for somebody who isn't 100% already entrenched in the hobby. And you had the column to go with it that you wrote on the old D&D website, which was also really awesome. And I think that also connected with a ton of fans of all kinds, but especially women, to have a strong presence, you know, a continual presence of, here's a voice, you know, welcome to the game. We're out here. That was great.
And also D&D is funny. I mean, like, it's not like, people are like, you know, you can be very serious about D&D, but like, there's a lot of funny things that happen at your D&D table, and it is essentially at its core a game of make-believe. So I think it's okay if we have a little fun with it when we're talking about it.
Your books have always had a sense of humor. Where does that come from?
The sense of humor?
Yeah, I mean, like, is like, you've had an acting background, I think, and you know,
yes, which is odd that I was like so much against the idea of D&D, considering I was a theater major in college. But yeah, I think my D&D experience out of the gate was funny. I was playing with like just people who really didn't like. I mean, we took it seriously in the sense that, like, we respect our dungeon master and we show up on time, and we do that part. But like, in the game, like, there was a lot of really lively personalities, and people were like really leaning into these funny backstories, and just, you know, there's just, you try a lot of things, and sometimes you fail, and that's what makes it really funny too. And so I guess I didn't know D&D wasn't funny. So, and I just love humor. That is my way to, like, to get to know people, to talk about topics that are maybe harder to talk about. Like, I was telling Shawn, like, my poor son just had surgery on his legs, and like, he's probably really sick of my dumb jokes, but I'm just like trying, like, we're just going to laugh through this. And like, I'm one of those people that like does their best work at funerals, because it's just anything that's really inappropriate is just like, I can't stop the humor.
Tip of the hat. Yeah.
I feel like we all need to laugh right now, guys.
Yeah.
And for so long, people didn't realize, like you said, that D&D promotes that sort of thing. And now we have live plays. Now we have streams.
Yes, now you can see it.
All those things that people are like, oh, this is what it is. Well, I want to get into that. And now we see more of the theater kids, more of more writers, more of those types of people who are fine with games, but want that social interaction and want that improv ability to come out. And so we get a chance to explore that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like the humor is really the part that bonds you with, like, it's those funny, like, you had to be there stories that you just like can't wait to tell people about after, and they're like, wasn't there, don't care. But in your mind, like, yes, like, my party and I went through this thing, and it was scary and funny and dangerous, and oh my God, like, when you fell down that icy cliff, like, it was really funny. But humor bonds.
Mm-hmm. So, Confessions of a Part-Time Sorceress.
Yes.
And what followed that?
Everything I need to know, I learned from Dungeons and Dragons. Now, I'm leaving off the subtitles of all these books because they are epically long subtitles. But the second book was sort of like dabbling in that space of like, D&D can actually make you a better person. And I'm going to take principles from the game or things that my character would experience in the game and apply them to my real life and see if I can have positive change. And I feel like I did. So that was more of a collection of essays, if you will. Years after that, Greg Tito and I published Welcome to Dragon Talk, which was a book that was inspired by conversations and interviews that we had hosting the D&D podcast Dragon Talk. And it was just some of the conversations that really impacted us personally and how those stories really helped shape us and the spotlight that they put on the D&D community overall. Because one of the best parts about hosting that podcast was like talking to people from all different areas. And again, like kind of similar to Confessions of a Part-Time Sorceress, people that you didn't always think would play D&D. It was showing like, yes, like actors, directors, writers, teachers, like just people who are not just like sitting home watching Lord of the Rings on repeat all day, every day, are still like really into this game. So I love that part of just being able to show the different people that make up this community. And then finally, this book, How to Dungeon Master Parenting. It was inevitable. It had to happen.
It was. Well, it's sort of an arc, right? You start out as a player.
Yes.
And you learn the game, and then you go through, and now at some point you have to step behind the screen and you have to be the dungeon master.
Yes.
So
that was Shawn's Birds and the Bees, everybody. So I hope you followed along.
Easy, you are a teacher, Shawn.
There you go.
Someday, son, you will have to step behind the screen.
Someday. Do it with someone you love.
Make sure you trust them and you love them.
Or at least like them.
All right, so now we have from the University of Iowa Press.
Yes.
That's some pretty fancy stuff there, folks.
Yeah.
We have How to Dungeon Master Parenting, speaking of long subtitles, a guide for gamifying the child-rearing quest, leveling up your skills, and raising future adventurers. Woo! That is a mouthful, but I have to ask, why that book? And why now?
I kind of blame both of you because you did encourage me to become a dungeon master. And you gave me great advice on how to do that. And so I ran off and started that D&D club at my son's elementary school. And here I am being a dungeon master with kids. And I mean, they loved it. I can't give myself credit for that. I think they just loved the idea of playing D&D, and I was just kind of there to hand out candy and say, yes, you can use the bathroom. You should roll that die. Like I messed up everything a lot and like totally overpowered them. And like, you want more magic items? Take this. And then they were like, I don't want this. This is a stupid bag. I'm like, it's a bag of holding. And they were like, I don't want a bag of holding. I want something that blows things up. I'm like, okay, you can pick a new magic item. Okay, so you're probably like, we didn't give her any of that advice. You didn't, but you did tell me just to like have fun and don't worry about the rules and just lean into the story. Let the players thrive. And I did. But I could not help thinking that like, I feel like I'm like kind of commanding these children in a way that I'm not as a mom. Like, how come I'm better like as a dungeon master than I am? I'm not saying like I'm a terrible mom, but like I could get those kids to do things in the context of playing D&D that I felt like I don't think I could do that if I were their teacher or their parents. And why is that? And as you both know, I'm fascinated by dungeon masters. I've been studying them for years. And I started thinking about... You
don't have to be in my yard all the time, though, Shelly. I mean, I'm just saying. Like,
will you let me in, please? Please, it's sometimes so cold out there. But I started thinking about the traits, the things that make a good dungeon master and why dungeon masters can be successful at commanding a table of different personalities and different needs and different wants. And like, you don't always know what's going to happen next. And yet they're just there like, I saw that coming. No, you didn't. It's improv. Like, you didn't know that was coming. How can they do that? And how can I do that better as a parent? And I realized a lot of those skills that make a good parent or make a good dungeon master are basically the same. And a lot of the player tropes and the player personalities are so similar to like kids, like just having like a room full of kids, like
the
that
instigator.
You are. Yes.
Yeah.
Like all the different players, and like just like the players who like maybe act a certain way are they want something. And as a dungeon master, like they're really good at like sussing out like, oh, you're bored, or you are uncomfortable in this situation, or like you got the shiny new sword and you're just dying to use it. Like, you can use some of those same principles when like your kid is acting out, or a kid, like, you know, if you're a teacher or a dungeon master, they're acting a certain way, and like put on your dungeon master hat and like, just don't be like frustrated. Like, oh my God, like we're in the middle of Target. Be quiet. You're embarrassing me. Put your dungeon master hat on and be like, but what is this person's motivation right now? What is making them act like that? It's not foolproof. I'm not inventing like a whole new parenting style here, but I will say it does work. Like it did change my entire perspective on how I viewed parenting. Just thinking like a dungeon master. And when I started writing ideas down, it turned into a book proposal. I'm like, I think there's something here. I think you can actually like put the dungeon master overlay over parenting, and it fits pretty well.
Yeah, well, having read what you've created here, your book, I'd say you absolutely did that. And you did it in a really fun way, and I think in a surprising way, because like what you've talked about so far about that idea of like, I don't know what I think about, sort of like keys to being a good parent. You know, I thought, okay, I'll get this in this book, and you provide that, which is super fun. But you also have these really great ways that you bring out aspects of the game I didn't expect. Like you've got the section on going to the market and gearing up to be a new parent, and all the gear you're buying, and you know, the diaper bag is the bag of holding, and just a lot of it. I had some really good laughs around the way you did that, and that was definitely places I didn't think you were going to go to draw these parallels, or even, you know, monster stat blocks that you provide.
Oh, that was some of my favorites. Statting up those kids. I will say, when you said surprising, there was one review, and I'm putting it in quotes because I don't even know if it was an official review. And I actually think it was from my audiobook publisher. And they referred to it as surprisingly profound. And somebody was like, oh my God, are you insulted? I'm like, no, because I share that surprise. It is. And I do think like it is surprisingly profound. And it's like, because it's D&D. Yeah. So yes, when people say they were surprised, I'm like, me too. I get that. That is what I want from this book. I want to surprise you.
When you were putting together your ideas, you talk a lot about the parenting books and the going to the hospital and getting like the 101 parenting stuff and how terrifying that is. And you took me right back to when my wife and I were there and watching the birth on the screen and having to grab my wife to make sure she didn't faint.
God.
Yeah. And so did you dig into sort of parenting books as well because you obviously know a lot about the game, and these parenting books, were they something that you had experience with, or did you have to go back and look at them to see what was said in those?
I think a lot of them are burned in my brain, like the 5 S's. That one was that was one that we actually did use, but a lot of them I was just felt more hostile about. I'm like, it's not that easy. Like, it's just, why isn't it working for me? But yes, I think they were very much a part of my my preparation journey to becoming a parent, I look back now and I wish somebody told me, like D&D, like, you don't sit and read the player's handbook before you play. Like, you just don't. Does anyone, do you read the Dungeon Master's Guide before you DM? Or do you just take bits and pieces from here and there, and you just try it? Like, you just do it. You read the parts that are relevant to you, and then you can expand from there. So I kind of wish I had taken that approach with my own parenting, but
yeah, it does really take you back to read this book and think through being a parent, or if you have young kids in your lives that you've seen growing up, and you see this experience of just things like how you try to determine what their mood is and where it will go, how to entice them to have certain behavior. I mean, the parallels with gamers, it's just perfect, because you have these interesting people at your table who you care about, and they will do these wild things, and they're heading in certain ways, and you're trying to maneuver it.
And it's hard as a dungeon master, because like, you don't have just a table full of instigators. Like, you've got probably one of each. Like, and you have to really try to manage all of them so that they all leave the table feeling, this was very satisfying, thank you. Or like, I feel seen by my dungeon master, and I got something out of this game that I needed. It's difficult.
Like your I think it's the second chapter, the 13 traits of highly effective dungeon masters and parents. It is a great list to read, even if if you just forget the parenting angle, to just read it for the DM advice is helpful. But then the added layer of looking at it as a parent is excellent. And I mean, I think that sometimes really, I mean, we could say as dungeon masters, we are kind of like dads and moms, right, to the group in a fun way, right? While being
you're
equals,
like, you're a cool mom,
or the not fun way, depending on your group.
I've had some really bad parents that castigated me all game long. Yeah, it's true. At a convention,
I mean, it depends on how the dice roll too. It's not always on you, but
yeah.
So, do you think that we will see a rash of children named Igvilv or Zugtoy coming? The most popular names across the plains. I was reading this book and I'm like, okay, just read it, comprehend what's in there. Don't laugh. And then like by the second page, I'm laughing out loud, and it's just so funny. The alignments of children, was amazing. Lawful good kids, neutral good kids, all the way down to chaotic evil kids. So funny and so darn true that it's terrifying.
That was frightening for me too. I'm like, oh God, this is working. There really are lawful evil kids out there.
The parallels you have a page that is the top 20 things both dungeon masters and parents say. Starting with number 1, are you sure you want to do that?
How many times a day do you say that as a parent?
Put down your device and listen to me. We can do this one of two ways. This is not a negotiation. I cooked, I cleaned, I planned all of this for you. The least you can do is be grateful. They're just some great ones. It's just so funny. How about you rest up first? I mean, they're just, perfect. Love it.
Oh, I'm glad. It was so fun. I loved writing this book. I hope that is part of the output of it, but I had so much fun writing it. And again, surprisingly profound. It really did surprise me too.
Yeah. And
we've talked on the show before about dungeon mastering is like blank. Yeah. And we've always gone back to teaching. We've gone back to like being a manager, like a middle manager in a business. But we've never quite gotten to parenting yet. So when I saw this book was coming out and then read it, I was like, it's a natural connection to what you go through as you're trying to coordinate, but also inspire, but also bring under control these people or this person who you're quote unquote in charge of.
Yeah.
And it's profound. I guess it's already been said, but it's the best way to put it. It's very profound, some of the connections you make.
I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's balanced with things like the stat blocks you have for different age kids. The Shrieking Enchanter is a tiny fae. It has languages of crying, grunting, and shrieking. It has a lot of condition immunities, like immunities to grappling. And then I do like, though, that, however, they have powers or features including eject goo. They're an innate spellcaster with spells like Charm Person, Fear, and Cloud Kill. And you can put them in a burrito hold to put them on their backs and placate them. And then they have claw actions like claws and noxious odor. And these, change over time and really super fun.
Yeah, those were very fun to come up with, especially like the tween, as my son was kind of in that phase too. It's just like studying him, like, okay, I see this. I see what's happening.
And so your husband, Bart, is also a gamer, obviously, a dungeon master. Was there a lot of coordinating with him in terms of, asking his opinion? Do you remember this part of our, child rearing days?
Yeah, a lot of triggering things. If I would remember this conversation, or remember like the part about when like Bart's trying to like shush and sway or swing and all of the like that. Yes, we still bring that up and still like shudder. Like just remember. And like, okay, so back to like the surgery that my son just had, like his legs and his ankles. It's bringing us back to the newborn phase, because we had to wake up every 3 hours to give him pain meds. And it was just like, oh my God, it's a newborn. And he's just like laying there helpless, and just like, we're just waiting for like the waves of pain to come. And like, it's like, he's like a ticking time bomb. So yes, lots of triggering things happening while writing this book. But I just remind myself, like, I'm a dungeon master now. It doesn't matter. I can handle it. I got this. It's good. But yeah, I can at least bring myself back to that scary place, and hopefully those parents that are in the throes of it right now can sense that, like, you have a friend. There's a comforting person here with you to guide you to your next stage of this adventure.
Yeah, that's important. There's so many parts of parenting that are just like they change you, right? They irrevocably change you as to how you approach life, whether it's standing still for years after having a baby, where when you're just standing, you feel like you have to sway your hips because that's what you did to try to keep them asleep, right? Like just the lasting impacts kids have on you that are just unbelievable.
Did you find, and I know it can change, and it can depend on the kids too, but did you, when you were reading it, did you like identify a parenting style that you felt maybe you were currently in?
It's hard to say.
Based on your dungeon master style.
Yeah. It's interesting. It did make me think about, like, I often think about my DM style and my work style, because I'm a consultant with a lot of different companies. And often I find myself slipping into DM mode to handle
that works.
Questions, right? Or things like that. And so I've always thought of, like, the DM peril to me has been in the work world. And this book really made me think, like, oh, yeah. And to sort of think, like, how do I parent my different gaming groups? Whether it's and I found I'm a different type of parent, for example, in a convention game or other public settings.
Yeah, of course.
And my style is different for, say, my home group, which is kind of, and I hadn't really thought about that, but it's really true. Like, I'm providing a different type. It's sort of like the difference between running a play group or helping your kid play, right? You're in this public setting and you feel like this responsibility to provide a certain type of experience, versus with your kids, you're a little different. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Most of my DMing since 2000 has been at conventions, where the most important thing is time.
Yeah.
And so you want to be entertaining, and you want to give the players their chance to incorporate their ideas in, but you also need to keep watching the clock. So I talk fast and I keep things moving, and I try to say funny things, but then move on real quick to let everyone laugh. And so when I started teaching, I found myself doing the same thing. You have 80 minutes or 40 minutes, depending. So you're trying to get through things and you want everyone to be awake. So you're saying funny things, but moving on. But then you have to slow down. And it's the same with parenting, right? Okay, you need to get dressed and get your snack and then get to bed. So boom, boom, boom. But we want to be entertained, and so we're asking questions and we're saying funny things, but we're always keeping an eye on what's the bigger objective. And so my DMing style, my parenting style were definitely intermingling with each other, because I went back to DMing in 2000 when my daughter was born. So I was learning how to DM in public when I was learning how to be a father. And you
should have wrote this book. You should have wrote it 25 years ago.
I absolutely could not have written it then or now. But I did see those things cross over. Definitely.
Yeah. I suspect that with my home group, I'm probably a little more like attachment parenting. You have these styles that you've got in the book. And because it is a lot of like, I look to them to see where they want to go. And that's kind of my home game group a lot. Like where I want to be is a campaign where they can really say, this is what interests me. And that I've hopefully provided enough options that there are some really neat ones for them. And then we can go in that direction. I'm probably a fair bit of a narrator. It's hard to say in convention what type I would be. Somewhere between narrator and honestly a little bit of railroader, because I'm often doing that, like, let me walk you through this experience.
Right.
So there's a fair
in
bit
this
of that.
time frame that we have too.
Yeah.
You know how they say like everyone should work in food service just to or retail, like just to become a better human. I feel like everyone should be a dungeon master and just learn. Like there's so much that you can learn. Just hearing you both talk about how you've incorporated being a dungeon master into like your day jobs, and or like I'm slipping into dungeon master mode here as a consultant. It's so true. Like there is so much, not just parenting related, that the skills that you can learn being a dungeon master that apply to every aspect of your life. It really
laughing.
does.
This has a parallel with being a DM. I think you'll see this immediately. But we were laughing the other day about a time that we like to eat like pretty good food here in our house, right? We try to do that. And we inflict this on visiting friends of our kids. And so, there are things like, I'll just make I don't really have great sandwich bread, so I'll just make a wrap. And, I'll put some greens in it and some relish and this and that. And you present it to the kid, and the visiting kid looks at it like, what is this? Right. And you have some moments when you do that DMing as well, where you're like, I made this awesome encounter. And they go, what is this? Is this good?
We're just going to sit in the tavern.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want this.
Yes. It's a mimic. Yes. Eat the wrap.
I do like pancakes, but why are there things? Are these nuts? Why are there nuts in my pancakes?
Oh my God.
Come on, kid. It's good for you.
That's not, we can't tell them that. We can't tell them that about their food or D&D, because then they won't want to play it. It's just a game. It's just a game. You're not going to learn anything. You're not going to improve anything by playing this game. I promise.
Well, what we are, I think, is one step away from a combined Lamaze D&D. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the next evolution of everything we're talking about here. Right.
I mean, someone needs to create a program
and an initiative.
Yeah. It just, you could imagine somebody selling this as a service, where like, okay, you're going to be a parent. So the first thing I'm going to do is work on your constitution and dexterity scores.
Yes.
Partner, you're going to work on your, charisma and wisdom. And we're gonna level you up, and let's set up your first encounter. Here is going to be preparing the room.
Trying to assemble a crib together.
Oh no!
And still love each other at the end.
Yes. If you can still do that, great. You'll level up. That was your first quest. I like it. I like where you're going.
Teos, any final questions before we let Shelly run off into the wild blue yonder of parenthood/DMing?
You mentioned a lot of glam rock in this book. And how do we get more of that?
I mean, had I known that you would be on the other side reading this book and appreciating my Bret Michaels references, I did not know this about you.
I won't forget you, babe.
Oh my God. I remember you. We could, yes. You know what? Maybe that's the next book. We can co-author like everything you need to know about glam rock and D&D. There's got to be a connection in there.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Like there's something in there. There's something there.
By Bon Jovi. It'll be great.
Oh, that would be my dream.
It might be a smaller book, but it will still be something.
Maybe like a pamphlet.
Yeah, more of a treatise, if you will.
I'm going to think
a dissertation. All right. Well, Shelly, so if people want to get this book, where's the best place for them to go?
I love my indie bookstores. So if you want to stop by your local bookstore and maybe they don't have it, but you can ask them to order it. You can buy it online. You can buy it wherever you like to buy your books. Hopefully they have it. Bookshop.org is a great place that you can even support your local indie while still buying online if you want to do that. Yes, I just would appreciate you. Oh, there's an audio version. And I'm the narrator of it. So
really,
if you've listened to this and you're like, the book sounds interesting, but I can't listen to her, don't get the audio version. Stick with the paper version.
Comes with free audio tracks and breakdowns of Desperate Housewives of Love Island. That's the show, right?
Yep.
There you go. That's it.
Yep.
I really didn't think about the audio version while writing it because I would not have used some of the words that I chose. And I had to search high and low to figure out how do I pronounce this word that I have to say. So just think about that when you're writing. One day you may have to actually read this book out loud.
Good advice. Is there anything else that people can do to follow you, your work, or anything else of interest that you want to point people toward?
I am very excited for you to check out this book. You can find me on most of the socials now at Shelly Moo. I'm not like super active there, but I do have a Substack. But it's not really D&D focused. But it is parenting focused, and it is like real like middle-aged heavy. So if that's not your jam, don't. I'm not offended if you
teach us things like perimenopause for men, which I appreciated.
Well, there's a lot of books out there also for them. Apparently it's just a big black hole of knowledge for men. So yes, I am also your guide for that.
Wait, a black hole of knowledge for men? What? I've never heard of such a thing.
D&D, middle age. I feel like there's another connection here.
Yeah. I could see it.
The Dungeon Master's Guide to Perimenopause? I don't know. Oh, shoot. I think I just lost all of your listeners. I'm sorry.
No, I think that's big money. That's the...
Yeah, that's... I see a Netflix series coming.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Shelly, for coming on and talking about
my pleasure.
Sharing your experience.
Thank you very much for having me. I just couldn't have not talked to my two favorite dungeon masters about this.
Wow. You're very kind.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shelly.
Thank you.
So it's always amazing having Shelly on the show. Such a wonderful person, a wonderful advocate for Dungeons and Dragons and games in general. Super funny, great writer. Cannot say enough good things about Shelly. And you saw it all right there.
Yep, absolutely true. Fantastic to spend time with her again. Miss you, Shelly. Yep. Great to hang out a bit.
Yep. So thank you out there, everyone, for listening. Thank you so much to our patrons who support our show and help us keep the lights on and the camera rolling. If you would like to become a patron of the show, yes, you can do so as well by going to patreon.com/masteringdnd. We have different levels of support. We have our Master of Dungeon supporters. You are the ones that keep us going, my friends. So thank you so much. We have a special shout out in our show notes to our Master of Realms supporters. a long and wonderful list of many wonderful folks. And we have our Masters of the Multiverse. They pay a little extra to get their names mangled by me on the show. So we'll start with Agile Monk of Fantasy Companion Workshops, Keith Ammon of The Monsters Know What They're Doing, Lou Anders of Lazy Wolf Studios, Craig Bailey, Dave Bastiensen, welcome to the Bearded GM, Steve Bissonette, Merrick Blackman, Calvin Bridges-Alos, Robo Ballin, Kevin Criswell, Dead Inertia DM, Evil John, Evanet Nimbleco, Will Doyle, Andy Edmonds at nerdronomicon.com, James Fisher, Scott Fitzgerald Gray at Insane Angel Studios, Ben Heisler and Paige Lightman, Shawn Hurst, Hyperlexic, the Jaunty Mantis TTRPG podcast, Mark and Mary's Gaming Compound, The Mighty Jerd, JL at Tileforge, JR of the Twilight Perspective, JT Evans, Brian King, Jim Klingler. Oh, I have a new name to pronounce, Teos. There is no way I'm going to do this well. Gal Cormendi. Tell me how badly I mispronounced that and let me know how to say it correctly. Chad Lynch, Paul Mata, The Mathemagician, Jaron from Mathis Arcanum. Welcome. Eric Mengi, Anna B. Meyer of Fantasy Cartography, Trey McLemore, John Mickey, Sean Malley, Falcon Neal, Tom Nelson of the Deck of Player Safety, DT Norris of DT and Dragons, Phil Wirt from the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo, also known as PAGE, Philip N. Lindsay, Frog Prince at Tentacles Squelching Wetly, Post Fiction RPG Audio, Ricardo Who Might Adventure, Robert Pasley, Vladimir Prenner from Croatia, Ozymandias Rex, Runner Rick, Chance Russo at Drago Russo, Andy Shockney, Krishna Simosa, Tim Smith, Spark from Dunnar Games, Josh and Lee Wanika of the Tabletop Journeys podcast. Check out their show. Talos the Stormlord, Jeremy Talaman from the D&D and TV podcast. Tres, Ryan Truk, Joe Tyler, Marcelo de Velasquez, the Valiant DM, James Walton, Graham Ward, Jason Ward from Accidental Cyclops Games, Javier Waziak, Waterford Wizard, Chris Webster, Zach Types, and Zilwalt Winfrey. Thank you so much for your support. If you can't help us via Patreon, but you want to give us a little boost, go on to Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to the podcast and give us a rating. We would definitely appreciate that. Give us a review. Or go to YouTube and like and subscribe and do all those things on YouTube because that gives us a boost as well. Teos, now that you have recovered from whatever maladies that you found in Italy, excuse me, as I cough.
I've infected you. Oh, no. Everybody listening to the podcast gets a cold. Yeah, Shawn,
where can people find your work?
Yeah, I need to start ramping up. I've just turned in a big project, which someday I'll be able to talk to folks about, and it'll be so exciting to do so. But now I get to once again work on my own things, and I am looking forward to that.
Awesome. You can find my stuff on my socials at Shawn Merwin, and you can find the podcast socials at Mastering D&D. So we have learned what it's like to parent and DM sometimes at the same time. So what are we going to do now?
Yeah, I think that prestidigitation is going to come in handy as your favorite spell when it comes to being a parent of a young.
This is true. This is true. And I got to be on the lookout for all those chaotic evil children out there.